So we are live now. This is the last class for class 6 geography. Let's finish it. Anybody has any question from the previous classes? कोई क्वेश्चन? हाँ शंकर बताओ.
हेलो सर. सर मुझे ऐसा सर नहीं ना लैटिट्यूड एंड ना लॉन्गिट्यूड वाले चैप्टर पे सर मुझे डाउट सर एक लाइन सर मुझे क्लियर नहीं हो रही है सर. तो सर जो सर पेज नंबर सर 13 सर लॉन्गिट्यूड वाला जो सर है ना दे आर सेमी सर्कल एंड द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन देम डिक्रीजेस स्टीडली फॉरवर्ड्स until it's become zero at the poles where all the meridian meets. बस
एक ये अर्थ है, स्फीयर है. इस पे तुम हर साइड से अगर ऐसे ऐसे लाइंस ड्रॉ करो तो क्या होगा? द डिफरेंस हियर बिटवीन the two lines will be more, and as they will move closer they will finally meet. हर तरफ से सारे एंगल्स जाके एक जगह मीट करेंगे ना.
yes sir.
So that's what they're saying. A distance, as we move towards poleward, the distance between the two lines get on decreasing and finally it becomes zero.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Kishore is asking, sir, why mineral deposits are highly concentrated in plateau regions. We will see, Kishore, in the later chapters when we will see the reason how the plateaus are formed. So the way in which plateaus have come into existence that lead to such kind of material deposits or mineral deposit in them. It's related to their origin. और कोई सवाल? Our country, India. Now, it's a vast geographical expanse. In the north, we have Himalayas. In the west, we have Arabian Sea. In the east, we have Bay of Bengal. And in the south, we have Indian Ocean. This is, I think, it's clear to all of you. The total area we have is about 3.28 million square kilometer. India is in terms of number, which size wise कितने number पे India?
7th largest.
7th largest. And the population wise?
2nd largest country.
2nd largest. Good. So India के पास ऐसा 3.28 million square kilometer है. Also, while you are doing this, try to memorize the name of the top 6 countries as well. So the north and south extend from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, which is about 3,200 kilometers, and east to west is about 2,900 kilometers. Although when we look at the map of India, the kind of image that comes in our mind is that India is very long and relatively less wide. But you can see here it's not, although it's lengthier, but it's not that much big. 3,200 इधर है तो 3,000 के आसपास इधर भी है. So almost same latitudinal and longitudinal expense. So this is the second most populous country in the world after China. Location कहाँ है इंडिया का? Tropic of Cancer passes through almost halfway through the country. And see the map, the Tropic of Cancer almost passes halfway through the country. 23.5. यहाँ पे देखो ये 24 is here. So ये थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा extreme ऊपर दिखाया हुआ है. It's not up to the scale. Now this can be a very important question, that name the states through which the Tropic of Cancer passes. किस किस स्टेट से होकर ये पास हो रहा है? So you can write a mnemonics. ग म छ झा र म. गमछा झारम, गमछा है और उसमें झार देते हैं. तो some of the states is the Gujarat, M is Madhya Pradesh, C is Chhattisgarh, then Jharkhand. Gamacha, Jha. R is Rajasthan. Some part of Rajasthan is also covered here. Rajasthan. And you have here Mizoram. यहाँ से थोड़ा सा पास करता है तो मिजोरम. एंड वेस्ट बंगाल. वेस्ट बंगाल इसमें नहीं आता, वेस्ट बंगाल याद रखना है. सो these are the states through which Tropic of Cancer passes in India. 23.5 degree north. Latitude and longitude क्या है? 8.4 degree north and 37.6 degree north are the latitudinal extent, and longitude में 68.7 and 97.25. Now, do you need to memorize these? Yes, if you are preparing for any PCS kind of exams, they tend to play with this number. So 8.4 की जगह पे वो 8.2 दे देंगे या 8.1 दे देंगे, और इतना मतलब UPSC will never ask you this, but in state level exams they may ask such questions. So try to memorize as much as you can. At least keep the numbers in your head. Now this is interesting. We have read about time zones. हमने देखा कि different countries has different time zones. Every country follow its own standard time, and our standard time is decided as per 82.5 degree. It is decided because this is kind of center of India. But think about a country like Russia. It is so huge. The longitudinal extent is so huge that when there is 6 a.m. morning here, it is probably still night in Moscow. 12 बज रहा है, दूसरा दिन भी चल सकता है. So यहाँ पे दूसरा दिन आ गया, यहाँ पे दूसरा दिन चल रहा है. In such a condition, managing the whole country is very difficult. If they also decide कि we will also fix our central point as the standard time, तो इनके साथ क्या होगा? मान लो रसिया का एक्सटेंट कितने घंटे का है? एक मिनट, पीछे वाले क्लास में होगा. मान लेते हैं रसिया का एक्सटेंट 8 घंटे का है. So like 8 hours from here to here. How many degrees it will cover? 15 8 20, so 100. So let's suppose it covers, it's 8 घंटा तो नहीं होगा, it will be much less than this. But let's, for this sake of our understanding, if a country is spread in 120 degrees from here to here, the whole country will have about 8-hour difference from this point to this point. So when it's 6 a.m. of 1st January here, it's still 10 p.m. of 31st January in the same country. एक ही country में एक तरफ नया साल हो गया, दूसरी तरफ नहीं हो रहा है. Even if they take the center, this will also be very complicated because still it will be 4 hours this side and 4 hours this side. So जब यहाँ पे the clock will show 12 p.m, these people will have evening actually. तो इनकी घड़ी में जब 12 बज रहा होगा तब तक सूरज डाउन हो गया होगा. अगर 10 बजे ऑफिस खोलने की बात करेंगे, तो इफ देर ओपनिंग देयर ऑफिस एट 10 AM, तब तक यहाँ पे 2 बज रहा होगा. तो ऑफिस में जाने के लिए लोग सूरज डूबने लगेगा तब ऑफिस जाना स्टार्ट करेंगे, और यहाँ के लोगों को 6 बजे ही उठ के ऑफिस जाना पड़ जाएगा. सो सच सिचुएशन इज 6 बजे, यानी इनका लोकल टाइम 6 बजे सुबह अभी उगा ही है, बट इनके घर ही में 10 बजने लगेगा. सो हाउ टू रिजॉल्व दिस सिचुएशन? One way to resolve this situation is to have multiple time zones. So countries like Russia, USA, Canada has multiple time zones. अभी multiple time zones कैसे काम करता है? Let's consider USA. So USA is divided into this 5 time zones. So let's suppose you are here in New York on a western coast of USA, and you travel by flight and you land up here. Now in this place that they are following the time, let's suppose 10 AM, but in this place the time will be 30 hours back. तो यहाँ पे 9:30 ही हो रहा है. And when you will go from here to here, you have to adjust your clocks. So if any of you will travel internationally, as soon as you land on the airport or within the flight only, sometime they make announcements ki now we are in a different time zone, please readjust your clocks. Nowadays there are digital clocks, so those people who travel very frequently, they keep 2 clocks, one in the country where they are. Like अगर कोई यूएसए में है तो एक यूएसए का क्लॉक रख देखता होगा और एक इंडिया का क्लॉक देखता होगा. He went to call my parents as per the Indian time. So now in this country, if you are traveling from here to here, you have to repeatedly adjust your clocks if you are moving faster than the sun. अब तो ये हो गया concept of different time zones. In our country also, once there was a demand, especially during the British period, of a chai bagan time. Chai bagan time, the people from northeast side used to ask for this specifically. इनका कहना था कि देखो, you fix this as per the country, the whole country follow the time of like 10 AM morning. You have to go to office. Now 10 AM for all people in country is probably 11 AM for a person in Arunachal Pradesh. And if the office is going on till 6 AM, or sorry, 6 PM, till 6 PM you can walk in Rajasthan without light. तुमको बत्ती जलाने की जरूरत नहीं है 6 बजे, because sun is still up. But for a person from Arunachal Pradesh, 6 PM is like अभी 5 बजे ही बत्ती जलानी पड़ेगी, because sun has gone now. So they will have more electricity expenses because they are following this time. Because of this, their own lifestyle is disturbed. Normally what we do, we wake up with the sun, like flowers कैसे, how gold क्या बोलते हैं, sunflower perceives time with the rotation of the sun. Our body is also the same. We have a circadian cycle in our body which follows the sun. But because of this shift, we are not acting as per the nature. Normally you should, if you are planning to wake up at 5 with the sun, like if you are here, you will be waking up at 6. तो ये सब कुछ challenges यहाँ पे आ रहे थे, तो इन्होंने North East people said that they should have a separate time zone of their own, which can be half an hour early or 1 hour earlier than the Indian time or Indian Standard Time. But that system was not accepted by the Indian government. First, because it will make the things very complicated. All of you are educated, but many of you are still not able to follow कि चल क्या रहा है भाई इधर, मतलब हर बार जाएंगे तो घड़ी बदलेंगे क्या? Yes, in USA people actually do that. In our country, it will create a lot of problems. People were not that much educated. It's a very complicated system, and the span is not that big. It's not making that big a difference. एक घंटे का difference बहुत बड़ा नहीं है. But think about USA. If they will do the same, तो इनका क्या होगा? So now, if you are following the news, there are people who are वहाँ पे एक system चलता है in most of the countries who have vast extents and who are in upper latitudes. They call it daylight saving. Daylight saving. किसी ने सुना है इसके बारे में? Daylight saving के बारे में सुना है किसी ने? क्या है अमनदीप, बताओ. देखो, माइक नहीं है, माइक का क्या करना है? Anyway, so what happens in USA? First, they are at higher altitudes. Now we have seen that as we go up, the variation in days and nights, the length of days and nights start to vary a lot. So वहाँ क्या होगा? Someday, in some times of the year, like during summers, the days will be very long, 15 hours, 16 hours, long days. And during winters, the days will become very short. So 5 hours, 6 hours का दिन होगा. तो यहाँ क्या करते हैं यूएस वगैरह में कि whenever winter comes, people shift their clocks because now they want to finish their work early. क्योंकि अगर अभी वो 5 बजे तक ऑफिस में काम करेंगे, so by that time there will be very dark and they have to use light, electricity. So to save electricity, instead of starting their office at 10 a.m. and ending it at 5 a.m., everybody will change their clocks. Government will announce on a certain day कि now from today we are going to follow a different way. And the timing will still be same, 10 to 5. लेकिन सब कोई 1 घंटे अपनी घड़ी पहले कर लेंगे. तो पहले जो 9 बजे जब 10 बजता था, सो पहले जब 9 बजते थे, अब उसी टाइम पे 10 बजने लगेगा. And now people will go to the office 1 hour early and will leave their office 1 hour early. The usual time will be same, 10 to 5. But everybody will switch their clocks. Adjust their clocks. ये प्रोसेस है डे लाइट सेविंग का. कुछ समझ में आ रहा है क्या तुम लोगों को, या सब ऊपर से जा रहा है? सूसरी को समझ में आ रहा है? Okay, good. So this is daylight saving. Now we have read about Indian Standard Time and all these things, so not going into that. India shares its boundary with 7 countries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, which is the 7th country?
Afghanistan.
Technically, if you will see, we do not have a border with Afghanistan. If you will see the actual map of India, actual map means the region in which we have our control. मतलब मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ा shocking experience था when I realized this for the first time. So if you will see the actual map in which India actually has control will look something like this. So more than half of this region we do not have any control over. So this part is controlled by Pakistan, this part is controlled by Pakistan, this part is controlled by China. These are disputed territories. India claimed that these are mine. Pakistan says that these are mine. But after a war, we have settled, and that's why these lines are not called as border. Probably you will understand today. If we do not call it border, this is called as line of control, and this is known as line of actual control, LOC and LAC, because these are not borders. These are not fixed mark lines कि हम यहीं रहेंगे. These are a, so India and Pakistan is actually in a state of war, kind of technically saying. We have just stopped fighting for the time being because the borders are still not safe. So technically, ऐसा नहीं है कि you will take a car and you will start driving and you will go to Afghanistan directly from our area. But we consider that since this is our territory, we have a boundary with Afghanistan. ठीक है, ये बात समझ में आई? We do not have actual boundary with Afghan. मतलब actual boundary जो भी कहो. Now, why we say that we have a boundary with Afghanistan when we do not have any path is because if we start saying that we have 6 countries with which we share our land boundaries, it will be as if we are accepting that this region belongs to Pakistan. तो हम तो ऐसा करना नहीं चाहते. तो that's it. हाँ, यहाँ पे ये मैप एक बार देख लो. So G, M, Cha, very small. Jha, R, M, Mizoram. हाँ, त्रिपुरा भी है. अगर तल्ला त्रिपुरा से भी क्रॉस करता है और वेस्ट बंगाल से भी क्रॉस करता है. ये 2 और ऐड कर लेना, वेस्ट बंगाल एंड त्रिपुरा. Rajasthan is the most confusing one because with Rajasthan it shares a very small boundary. So take that into consideration. Now UPSC will ask you questions. They will not ask you questions from which state it's passed. They will ask you question ki which city is closest to Tropic of Cancer, or through which cities Tropic of Cancer passes. So you see these cities, and they will give you very conflicting or very narrow examples like Gandhinagar, Bhopal, Ranchi, all are almost on the same line. But Kolkata is further away. So if a question is which is closer to Tropic of Cancer, it's not Ranchi. Sorry, it's not Kolkata, it's Ranchi. Similarly, Agartala is further away from here. Aizawl is also further away from here. So इस तरीके से देखना है इसको. ठीक है. Now, the geographical features. These are the political features. Geographical features पे आते हैं. The political and administrative divisions. So political division तो हो गया. How many states and union territories India has, by the way? Anyone? $29 and $8. 28 and 9. 28 and 8. बहुत सारे आंसर्स आ गए. ठीक है, the data here is a little bit old, so that's why I have already crossed it. इसको अपडेट कर लेना है. Now, political division हो गया. Physical division में आते हैं. The uppermost part, the northernmost part is Himalaya. Him plus Alaya is Himalaya. The abode of snow, or the house of snow. Himalayan mountains are divided into 3 parallel ranges. I told you na, Himalaya is not a range, or Himalaya is not a mountain. Himalaya is a mountain system. So it has 3 ranges. The northernmost, the outermost is Greater Himalayas or Himadri. बहुत important है, बहुत confuse करता है. So the outermost is Himadri. ठीक है, मतलब पाकिस्तान की तरफ या चाइना की तरफ जो है पहला, that's Himadri, and these are the highest ones. In the middle we have Himachal. So after Himadri we have Himachal, or the middle ranges. They're relatively smaller than the Himadri, and most of the hill stations that we go to, so Mussoorie and all, is in this region, Middle Himalayas. And the later one, the last one is Sivalik. It's the southernmost range. If you'll see here, we have Greater Himalayas. यहाँ हो गया Greater Himalayas. These are Greater Himalayas. Then we have Himadri, and then we have Sivalik. Sivalik does not extend up to all this. Sivalik is limited to here. So Greater Himalayas, Himadri, and Sivalik. Now Northern Plains lies to the south of Himalayas. So south of Himalayas we have Northern Plains, UP Bihar का जो area है, created by the tributaries and the alluvial deposits of rivers like Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra. Then we have the Great Indian Desert in the western part of India. Here we have Great Indian Desert on the west of Aravalli ranges. These Aravalli ranges are, which kind of mountains Aravalli ranges are? हमने क्या पढ़ा, विंध्या के बारे में पढ़ा था ना हमने. These are the oldest one, which are now residual, folded, old folded. ठीक है. कहाँ थे हम? Greater Himalayas. So then we have Great Indian Desert on the south of Aravallis. Sorry, on the west of Aravallis. Then we have Peninsular Plateau. This whole region is Peninsular Plateau. There is a region with numerous hills and valleys. So Aravalli Hills, one of the oldest ranges of the world, border it on the southwest side Vindhyas and Satpuras are the important ranges. Narmada and Tapi flow through these ranges. We'll see here we have Vindhyas and Satpuras, and Narmada is flowing through this range. And these कहाँ गया? हाँ. Then we have Western Ghats or Sahyadris. These Western Ghats, these are Western Ghats. ये है Western Ghat. This is known as Sahyadri. And we have Eastern Ghats here. So if you pay attention, the Western Ghats, so the Western Ghats are continuous. ये पूरा एक स्टार्ट होता है यहाँ से और यहाँ तक लगातार चलता है. Western Ghats are fragmented. It's in bits and pieces. So Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. Plateau is, and then we have in between plateau rich mineral. These regions are plateau. Different plateaus we have. We will read about them in detail. उसके बाद coastal plains. This is interesting. So these are coastal plains of Western India or Western side, Western coastal plains, and these are the coastal areas of East. Now, which coastal plain is bigger or larger, East or West? West looks bigger. Pritham saying East. Dekho. In the picture, it may look like to you that it is the coastal areas of West which are bigger. Now, Palak is saying what is the difference between ghats and plains. Dekho. ये reason कुछ इस तरीके से है. If you can see this, if you are standing here and looking at India, you will see that first you have a coastal plain, first you have rivers, ocean, then you have this beach, Goa ka beach hai, and after that you have mountains. So these mountains are ghats. These are beaches. And then you have plateau here, this side. So ये कुछ इस तरीके से image दिखेगा तुम्हें. Coast, Ghats, plateaus, Eastern Ghats, again coast, ocean, ocean. This image makes sense to you? ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या हो रहा है? सूर्या, अब देखो, ये है तुम्हारा कोस्टल प्लेन. It looks like that these coastal plains are bigger than these, but in reality these coastal plains are like this. मतलब यहां से ये कोस्टल प्लेन चलता है और उसके बाद ये शार्पली खत्म हो जाता है. And here you have ocean. There is a sharp, steep fall. So there is no coast after this. But if you will see the coast on the eastern side, you actually have a long coast which is under the water. But the coast in itself is very wide. And then it gradually goes on to decline. Because of this, you will find that natural ports will be formed in this area. So Mumbai is a very good natural port. While on the other hand, the Cochin or Chennai ports are not natural ports. You have to make them because I have already explained you this. तो actually में क्या हो रहा है that the western coastal plains are very narrow and the eastern coastal plains are much broader. ये बात समझ में आ गई अभी? It creates a lot of confusion. Eastern coastal plains are much broader. Western coastal plains are much narrower. Is that clear to all? ठीक है. Now about corals. We will read about corals in detail. It's a very important topic nowadays. So just keep this on hold. आके हम इसको आराम से पढ़ाएंगे. Now, in the south there are different rivers like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri that drain into the Bay of Bengal. Now, for now, you don't need to go into the details of this, but when we will start reading class 11th, you have to memorize the name of their tributaries and all. वो बताऊंगा मैं तुम्हें. These rivers form fertile deltas. Now, delta क्या होता है? Come back to the sea maze. Here, from the mountains, you will have rivers flowing. So these rivers are originating from Western Ghat and going to the Eastern Ghats and then to the Indian Ocean or Bay of Bengal. Some rivers also originate from here and go into Arabic Sea. Very few are there, but some rivers go here and these are very small rivers because you know यहाँ से निकला घर से निकलते ही कुछ दूर जाके गिर गए समुद्र में. So not very big rivers, but these rivers are big. And with them they carry a lot of silt. Now, what happens that the delta is a triangular shape. ये जो ऊपर एक मैप था ना हमारे पास probably in this chapter. So see here, what's happening? This is the river which is coming and creating plains. This river is coming here and creating plains. Similarly, other rivers are coming and creating plain. Now, this region is called as mouth of the river. Mouth of the river is not the ending of the river, but the not the origination of the river, but the end of the rivers in the ocean. These are mouth of the rivers. Now imagine a river like Ganga is carrying a lot of silt with it. When the slope will be high, the water will be able to carry the silt with it. वो बहुत कुछ अपने साथ बहा के ले जाएगी. But as it comes into the plain, now the pressure is not that much high. So the water will start depositing the sediments. This deposition is in the form of triangles. Most of the time ये ऐसे triangle के shape में इधर से water आ रहा है और उसको triangle के shape में deposit करता जा रहा है. So these are called as deltas. So coming back to this, so these rivers create deltas in these regions. One of the major delta that we have is here, Sundarban Delta created by Ganga. Now, not all the rivers create delta. यहाँ पे शायद mention नहीं किया है इसने. But not all the rivers will create delta. Some rivers create estuaries. ESTU. So estuaries क्या होता है? Let's take example of a river like Narmada. when Narmada is flowing, we saw that Narmada is flowing through a fault. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ एक्चुअली कि जो हमने fault पढ़ा था ना, that some region will vertically go down, that thing has happened here. This region has vertically went down, and because of that, in that region Narmada has started to flow. Now Narmada is flowing through a very mountainous region, and because of that it does not erode that much thing. ये पूरा एकदम solid place से गुजर रही है, तो it does not erode. The erosion is very less, and that's why this doesn't make delta here. यहाँ पे क्या होगा, estuary बनता है. So you will see that this is the mouth of the river, and here the water is coming, and it's directly mixing to the salt water. ये स्वीट वाटर आ रहा है और सॉल्ट वाटर से मिल रहा है डायरेक्ट. There is no land form in between. These features are called as estuaries. Now tsunamis के बारे में हम लोग पढ़ेंगे आराम से, कैसे सुनामी आता है, क्या होता है. So let's ignore that part for now. Lakshadweeps are located in the Arabian Sea, and these are coral islands located off the coast of Kerala. मैप देखते हैं. देखो दो चीजें तुम्हें दिख रही हैं यहाँ पे, एक लक्षद्वीप और यहाँ पे अंडमान एंड निकोबार. Now it's very surprising that Andaman and Nicobar is much closer to Bangkok than it is to Chennai or than it is to कोलकाता. अपने लैंडमास से वो बहुत ज्यादा दूर है. But still our part. The difference between Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Island we'll read in detail, but for now you can understand that Lakshadweep is a coral island. It is made by corals. On the other hand, the Andaman and Nicobar Island is a volcanic island. It has created because of volcano. अर्थ के नीचे से volcano आया, वो deposit हुआ. So it's a volcanic island. We will see in detail the process of creation of both of these. So this is the end of your chapter number 7. Chapter number 8 देखते हैं. World climate, vegetation and wildlife. पहले तो what is the difference between weather and climate? Anyone? What's the difference between weather and climate?
Long-term
बताओ.
weather conditions are called climates, whereas weather conditions of within the time day limits or hour limits are called weathers.
But so frequently changing day-to-day changes, frequent changes are called as weather. So if I'm saying it's hot today, I'm talking about weather. But if I say it's summers, I'm talking about climate. So weather is about day-to-day change in the atmosphere. It includes changes in the temperature, rainfall or sunshine. So आज मैं बोलूँ कि आज तो बहुत ठंडी हवा चल रही है. I'm talking about temperature, rainfall or sunshine. So this is weather. In our country, we recognize many seasons. Some of them are cold weather season, then hot weather season, monsoon season and retreating monsoon season. 4 period देखते हैं. December से February, which has ended now, it's the cold weather season. Now from March to May, we are in the hot weather season. From June onwards, the rain will start, and that season is called as southwest monsoon season. हम देखेंगे कि साउथ वेस्ट का क्यों क्या नाम है. एंड देन द रिट्रीटिंग मानसून, व्हेन मानसून स्टार्ट्स टू withdraw, so from October to November. No, hot weather season or summers. In the hot weather season, sun rays more or less are directly fall on this region. The temperature becomes very high. Hot and dry winds called loo blow during this day. Those who are from North India, they are very familiar with the word loo. गर्मियों में कहते हैं लू चल रहा है, बाहर मत जाओ. So these are hot and dry winds blowing in summers, especially in northern regions. Now, the southwest monsoon or rainy season. क्या कह रहे हैं? The winds blown from Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal towards the land. क्या होता है? I'm not going the details of it, कि how it happens. Just first understand कि what is happening. During the month of monsoon season, from the southwest side, the winds starts to flow towards India, and these winds brings rain. Similarly, from the Bay of Bengal side also, the winds comes and they bring rain. So this is monsoon season. Then we have retreating monsoon season. So what happens that in this season, after August or September, the monsoon will start retreating and the wind will now blow from the land towards the ocean. So it will start blowing like this. The southern part of India, particularly Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, receive rainfall in this season. This is very interesting. We will read about this in detail, but you should know this, that during winters, those who are from Tamil Nadu and Andhra may be knowing about this already, but during winters, it rains there. Sometimes it's rain very heavily. So India के सारे part में the rain comes when the monsoon comes, but in Tamil Nadu and Andhra the rain comes when the monsoon retreats. The monsoon वापस जाता है तो यहाँ rain करवा के जाता है. Climate is the average weather condition which have been measured over many years. The definition you got. The word monsoon is taken from the Arabic word mausim. Basically क्या होता था? In the earlier days, people do not have idea about what is monsoon or how it happens. But the Arabian traders, ये क्या होते थे जब monsoon चलता था, so the wind used to flow towards India. At that time, they will take big ships and come to India for trade. They will stay here for 2, 3, 4 months and wait for the retreating winds, and then will go or return with that wind. That's why this whole process used to be called as monsoon or mausim. अरे मौसम आ गया, चलो अब ट्रेड पे लगते हैं. So from there we have retained this word मौसम or मौसम. Our agriculture is highly dependent upon this. Now, climate in any place is affected by these 4 reasons. Very important. Make a note of this. Mains answer writing बहुत काम आएगा. In any place, climate is decided by location, altitude, distance from the sea, and the relief. 4 things. First, about location. So, as we saw, if the location is in Rajasthan, Jaisalmer, there will be no rain. It will be a dry region, very hot. On the other hand, if you are in Tamil Nadu or if you are in Goa, the climate will be very pleasant. Altitude, बहुत height पे जाओगे, hill stations पे, the climate will be very pleasant. Distance from the sea is very important. We will discuss about how distance from the sea affects the climate of any region. Abhi thoda sa wait karo. And then the relief. It's whether there are mountains there or it's a plateau region or it's a coastal area. ये सब impact करता है. Now, natural vegetation. क्या कहते हैं natural vegetation का definition क्या है? The grasses, shrubs and trees which grow on its own without human beings, without interference of the human being is natural vegetation. So your garden is not natural vegetation because you have planted the trees there. If it has grown on its own without interference, it's natural vegetation. Now, why we find different types of natural vegetation in different parts of the country? The reason, why forests are necessary. I think all of you are smart enough to know why forests are necessary. तो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Wildlife. Tiger is our national animal. You know this. The Asiatic lions is found in Gir forest in Gujarat. Try to locate Rann of Kutch and the Great Indian Desert as well, where we found camels and wild asses. Wild goats, snow leopard, bears are found in Himalayan region. Why have I highlighted this? UPSC will not ask you कि wild goats कहाँ मिलते हैं. But sometimes if some species, they have asked such questions कि which animal can be found in which biosphere reserve or which national park. Now, if you know that Jim Corbett is in Uttarakhand, and you know that in Himalayan regions we can find goats, leopards, bears, but it's difficult to find camels, right? So Jim Corbett में तुमको camel नहीं मिलेगा. That kind of a guess you can make during the exams. Peacock is our national bird. So this is the end of class 6 NCERT. It took a long time. Try to memorize the name of the states and the capitals if you have not memorized yet. 7 start किया जाए.